Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. My name is Simon Munyama, Senior Auditor, Auditor General's Office.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, Chisari. I'm Andrew Sivale from the Office of the Control of Internal Audit at Ministry of Finance and National Planning. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members of the committee. Good morning, Chinsali Council. My name is Kedrick Siame from Ministry of Finance, Office of the Accountant General. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members, and good morning, Chinsali. My name is Oscar Nyarenda from Office of the Accountant General, Ministry of Finance.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, honorable members, and welcome, Chinsari. I'm Edwin Sirimba, representing Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development under Finance. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretariat.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair. My names are Willard Mbozi, Principal Internal Auditor from the Office of the Control of Internal Audit.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Moses Chuva from the Office of the Clerk. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. So we start with the head of the institution. So I'll invite Chinsari Municipal Council, Town Clerk, to introduce yourself and allow others to do the same.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, my name is Sombo Kawili Lakaila, Town Clerk for Chinsali Municipal Council. I'll request that my colleagues introduce themselves.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members of Parliament. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mukuta Isaiah. I'm the Director of Finance.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, everyone. My name is Griffin Zingoma, the Director of Engineering Services.
Good morning, Chair. Your mic, sir. Good morning, Chair. Okay. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Nkwale Era, Chief Accountant for Chinsali Municipal Council.
Thank you. Can you switch off your mic?
Good morning, Chair. My name is Silas Choni, Acting Director of Planning at Chinsali Municipal Council.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. My name is Kasoma Emmanuel. I'm the Group Internal Auditor, Chinsali Municipal Council.
Thank you very much. I'll now invite honorable members to introduce themselves, and we'll start with Honorable Simumba. Honorable Simumba, introductions.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chinsadi, you are most welcome, and Happy New Year to you. Honorable Simumba Lucas, Member of Parliament for Nakonde. Thank you very much, Chair.
Morning, Chair, once again. Chinsadi, welcome. Good morning. Misha Kinyambose, Chasefu Member of Parliament. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Christopher Shakafuswa, Member of Parliament for Mandevu. Chinsali, you are in Mandevu constituency. I'm a member of the committee. You're welcome. Thank you.
Morning, Chair. Morning, everyone. Chinsali, you're welcome to National Assembly. This is Honorable Mwenel Hamba, Member of Parliament for Mangango constituency in Kaoma in Western Province. Thank you.
Chair, thank you so much. Chinsali, Happy New Year. Your humble servant, Mutelo Mishek, MP for the good people of Mitete.
Honorable Kamundo.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and welcome Chinsali Council to this committee on local government accounts. My name is Elliot Kamundo, Member of Parliament for the good people of Mufumbwe in Northwestern Province, who is also privileged to sit on this committee.
Thank you very much, Vice Chairperson.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, Chinsali Council. My name is Honorable Kampamba Mlenga, a member of Parliament for the good people of Kalulusha. I'm also Vice Chairperson of this committee.
Thank you very much. Chinsari, you're welcome to your committee on local government accounts. My name is Mulunda Darius, Member of Parliament for Siabonga constituency, and the chairperson for the committee appearing before the Committee on Local Government Accounts. As per tradition, when you appear before any parliamentary committee, you are conferred with the immunity under Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, that whatever you're going to say during our deliberations, it will not be used against you in any courts of law. However, if you choose to mislead, misinform, or misguide this committee, the same Cap 12 will be applied against you. But I have no doubt in my mind that you will not lead us astray, but you are going to give us factual information, the correct information, the information that we are going to use to generate a very good report, the report that we will then submit to Honorable Madam Speaker. With that guidance, with that said, I will now invite you, Town Clerk, to make your submission to this committee. Further guidance, Town Clerk, is that you are going to read the query. For instance, on page 1, there is first query, but we also adequately informed that query 1 falls off according to the Auditor General's office, that it has been adequately covered or resolved. So you go to the second query. The second query, you read the query, then give us the response, your response as management. Then you give us the action that you have taken, and of course the remedies that you have put before this committee. Thank you very much. With that guidance, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair, for that guidance. I wish to present the memorandum of the Controlling Officer on the audit of a CDF under Chinsali Municipal Council for the financial year ended 31st December 2022. Chair, this is pertaining to paragraph 18 and appendices 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9.1, and 9.2. Chair, as guided, I proceed to page 2. The query is falling under Women and Community Empowerment. The particular query is speaking to fraudulent acquisition of empowerment grants. Chair, the cause of the query, as stipulated on page 3, as a management, we wish to acknowledge the observation of the auditors as regards to fraudulent acquisition of empowerment grants in amounts totaling 20,000 kwacha. Chair, the cause of the query was due to misplacement of documents at the time of the audit. Chair, as a management, the action we have taken is that we have since traced the application of a group called Shimkokotan Sono Youth Multipurpose, and found that the forms were signed by both the WDC chairperson and the CDF chairperson, and that 10 NRC copies were attached as per the provision of the CDF guidelines. With this action taken, Chair, I refer the committee to Appendix 2. As a remedial measure, management will endeavor that documents are properly placed and submitted for audit verification upon requirement. The second query, Chair, is on the disbursement of grants to unknown residents. The cause of the query is we acknowledge the observation of the auditors as regards to disbursement of grants to unknown residents in amounts totaling 422,200 kwacha. Chair, the cause of the query was due to misplacement of documents at the time of the audit. As a management, Chair, we wish to inform the committee that these documents have since been traced and they were duly signed by the respective WDC chairpersons and CDF chairpersons. I refer the committee to Appendix 3. As a remedial measure, management will always endeavor that documents are properly placed and submitted for audit verification. The next component, Chair, is on secondary boarding and skills development. The query is on learners not resident in the constituency. Chair, the cause of the query is we acknowledge the observation of the auditors as regards to learners not resident in the constituency, and the amount involved is 39,000 kwacha. The cause of the query, Chair, was due to application forms for bursaries from WDCs indicating that the applicants were resident in the constituency. As an action taken, Chair, management has since confirmed that the applications were duly signed by the WDCs indicating that learners are resident of the constituency. I refer the committee to Appendix 4. And as a remedial measure, management will always endeavor to engage the WDC on the provisions of the CDF guidelines. The next query, Chair, is on double sponsorship. Cause of the query, we acknowledge the observation of the auditors as regards to double sponsorship in an amount totaling 3,000 kwacha. The cause of the query was due to the multiple applications for sponsorships by the learner and failure to disclose the status of the learner by the learning institution. Chair, your management has since recovered the 3,000 kwacha double sponsorship from the affected school. I refer the committee to Appendix 5. As a remedial measure, management has since sensitized the schools and other learning institutions to disclose the status of the learners as regards to sponsorship. The next query, Chair, is on payment of sponsorship for children whose parents or guardians are in formal employment. The cause of the query, Chair, is that we acknowledge the observation of the auditors as regards to payment of sponsorships for children whose parents or guardians are in formal employment in amounts totaling 29,715 kwacha. Chair, the cause of the query was due to inadequate sensitization. As an action taken, management has since reoriented the WDCs and other stakeholders on CDF guidelines. Further, management proceeded to present the matter to the CDFC, which upheld the sponsorship. However, as a further action, management wrote to the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development for further guidance on the matter. We refer the committee to Appendix 6. And as a remedial measure, Chair, the Council will endeavor to adequately sensitize WDCs as well as give technical advice to the CDFC as regards the provisions of CDF guidelines. The next query, Chair, is on unregistered institutions. The cause of the query, Chair, is that we acknowledge the observation of the auditors as regards to unregistered institutions in amounts totaling 149,400. The cause of the query is as a result of deregistration of the institutions by TVETA, as well as delayed payments by the said institutions for renewal of their licenses. As an action taken, Chair, management contacted Heavy Duty Operator College of Zambia, and whilst working together with TVETA, all learners were transferred to Nirvana Operators and Safety Academy for completion of their training, and the students have since completed the said training, Chair. Further, the two institutions submitted the proof of payment for renewal of licenses to TVETA. I refer the committee to Appendix 7. As a remedial measure, the Council will endeavor to take the students to registered institutions. Chair, I now move to the cross-cutting findings. This is Appendix 1, that is budget performance. The cause of the query, Chair, was the delayed approval of community projects and delayed receipt of guidance on issuance of loans. The action taken, Chair, is that management has since spent 15,927,898 kwacha, 49 ingwe, out of 21,435,827 kwacha, leaving a balance of 5,507,928 kwacha, 51 ingwe. I refer the committee to Appendix A. And as a remedial measure, the Council will endeavor to stick to the approval and guidance from our ministry and spend the money accordingly. Appendix 2, Chair, is failure to spend. The cause of the query was the delayed approval of community projects. As an action taken, management has spent 7,824,564 kwacha, 19 ngwe, out of 11,938,162 kwacha, leaving a balance of 4,113,507 kwacha, 10 ingwe. I wish to refer the committee to Appendix B. As a remedial measure, the Council will endeavor to stick to the approval and guidance from our ministry and spend the money accordingly, Chair. Appendix 3, misapplication of grants. Cause of the query, Chair, was the reduced amount from what was applied for by the groups compared to what was approved by the CDFC. As a management, we have since intensified sensitization to the groups in both procedure and basic financial literacy. Reference is made to Appendix C, and as a remedial measure, we'll endeavor to sensitize the beneficiaries on the importance of following procedures. The next query, Chair, is unaccounted for grant funds. The cause of the query was the inadequate sensitization to the groups in both procedure and financial literacy. Management has since, as action taken, Chair, management has since intensified sensitization to the groups in both procedure and financial literacy. Reference is made to Appendix D. As a remedial measure, the Council will endeavor to sensitize the beneficiaries on the importance of following procedures. The next query, Chair, is on failure to disburse soft loans. Cause of the query is the delayed receipt of guidance on the issuance of loans. Action taken, Chair. Management has since spent the sum of 2,921,305 kwacha out of the 2,934,350 kwacha, leaving a balance of 13,045 kwacha. Reference is made to Appendix E. Chair, as a remedial measure, the Council will endeavor to stick to the approval and guidance from the Ministry and spend the money accordingly. The next query, Chair, is on bursary, that is secondary school and skills development bursaries with respect to unspent grants. Cause of the query, delayed approval of the bursary secondary and skills development by our Ministry. Action taken, management has since spent 2,078,455 kwacha 50 ngwe out of the amount of 3,958,648 kwacha, leaving a balance of 1,602,907 kwacha 50 ngwe. Reference is made to Appendix F. Chair, as a remedial measure, the Council will endeavor to stick to the approval and guidance from our Ministry and spend the money accordingly. Appendix 9.2, Chair, speaks to bursary, secondary school boarding and skills development. This is on failure to report, Chair. The cause of the query, Chair, is that our students opted out of seeking this sponsorship due to the census activity that was being undertaken at the time, as well as the absence of ration allowances. As an action taken, Chair, management has since implemented the circular from our Ministry as regards to ration and uniform allowances. Reference is made to Appendix G. As a remedial measure, the Council will endeavor to implement the circulars issued by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. By way of conclusion, Chair, I wish to assure the committee that the remedial measures submitted in my report as being implemented shall be reinforced. And with that, Chair, I submit our memorandum for consideration of the committee.
Thank you very much, Town Clerk. Honorable members, Honorable Sumumba.
Chair, thank you very much, and thank you very much for your submission. Chair, my concern, I'll take you to page 3.
Thank you, sir.
Disbursement of grants to unknown residents. Chair, there are about 22 groups that got grants, and they never traced them to the tune of 422,200 kwacha. Now, the report from the auditors, they're saying a physical inspection in the respective ward revealed that these groups were not known by the ward development chairperson. Now, my concern, Chair, is on their submission. They're saying they've traced those documents which the very ward chairman who confirmed that these people, they don't reside in that area. Again, the documents that they have submitted and attached here, they are confirming that the ward chairman, I mean the WDC chairman, signed. Chair, I would want to find out how I submit, Chair.
Honorable Kamondo.
On the same issue that has been raised by the honorable member for Nakonde, I also wanted just to have some comfort. When I looked at the appendix that is being referred to, I did find that the minutes for confirmation were not signed. But we look at when they are doing the appraisals, the minutes are supposed to be signed.
What's minute number what? Appendix number what?
Appendix number, I think it's number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2. You go further to look at the minutes, you find that the minutes have not been signed, unless maybe they were signed somewhere, but it looks like they were not signed. I stand to be corrected. And also, when you look at their identity cards, the NRCs have not been certified as being the true copies of the members that are being mentioned there. I just want to be comforted that indeed these were the true members of this committee, and these minutes, why they were not signed. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable Nyambose.
Thank you, Chair. Also, I fall upon the same. The town clerk and your team. My question is, were you aware of the presence of the auditors in your district? Or as a management, were you aware that auditors were carrying out an audit? And if you were aware, why did these documents, the purported documents and minutes, resurface after the audit? And the Chair, on the remedial measure, management will endeavor that documents are properly placed and submitted for audit verification. Is this when you have realized that documents are supposed to be submitted for verification when auditors are asking for those documents? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Town Clerk, you can respond to those.
Thank you, Chair, for those inquiries into our memorandum. I will give some responses, and I will request that my colleagues also add on where I would have left anything out. With regard to the question that came from Honorable Simumba on how is it that these forms or we are saying that this group has since been traced or is there when the auditors undertook a physical verification on the ground. Chair, I wish to indicate from the outset that initially when the CDF was expanded, we received overwhelming response from our residents in terms of application for the different components of the CDF. And what that saw for us, Chair, was that we were somewhat overwhelmed as an institution, which caused us also to make some internal changes to our planning units, as well as procurement and engineering, because these are the key units that deal with the CDF. What had happened, Chair, at the time was that there was a lean workforce under planning, and forms were not placed where they ought to be. Now, following that concern, Chair, we have made internal arrangements where officers under housing have been moved, community development assistants and community development officers have been moved into planning to help with the secretariat part of it. And that is where we saw that when the auditors visited us, we were able to, in the background, also begin to put our affairs in order. And as we sit now, Chair, the picture is somewhat different in terms of the filing. So with regard to Shimukokotansono, the concern from the auditors was that at the time of the audit, we were unable to present these forms. And I think that is what even propelled them to move into the ward and be able to engage the WDC leadership. I'm not sure as to why the WDC would indicate that they are not aware of this particular group, because, Chair, we relied on their recommendation as a committee to say this is a group coming from their ward, and they duly signed these forms and submitted them to ourselves as a secretariat for onward submission to the CDF committee. With regard to the concern from Honorable Kamondo on why the NRCs were not certified, Chair, I wish from the outset just to comment to say we regret this omission, and going forward, these are matters that we ought to put our affairs in order. But these NRCs and these individuals are available within the constituency and within the particular ward to be verified once we are required or given the opportunity to re-engage the Office of the Auditor General. Chair, with regard to the minutes being referred to, I will request Director Planning to make a further comment on that. But I wish to also, before I hand over to Director Planning, to respond to Honorable Nyambose's query or concern, where he inquired into whether we were aware of the presence of the auditors in the district. Chair, I wish to indicate that as a matter of practice, when the Auditor General's office is coming to engage us, they will first write to us. Secondly, Chair, they will undertake what is called an entry meeting. So I can confirm to the committee that we were aware, Chair, of their presence in our institution to undertake the audit of the year under review. However, Chair has already alluded to, I think with the overwhelming response that we received for the 2022 CDF, which had been increased from 1.6 million to 25.7, the feedback that we received from our community was quite overwhelming, met up with the lean workforce that we had in the units that are responsible for the CDF. There could have been some errors or omissions that we experienced at the time. However, Chair, by way of maybe giving some comfort to the committee, these matters have been adequately redressed or addressed, and the picture is not the same for Chinsali. With that said, Chair, I seek your indulgence to allow Director Planning to speak to the observation by Honorable Kamondo on the minutes.
Director Planning.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think the omission maybe could have been due to the photocopying whilst we are making the attachments, but otherwise the part where the chairperson as well as the secretary signed is available for verification. I think we may avail that if the committee may allow.
Okay, two follow-ups, Honorable Nyambos and then Honorable Sumumba.
Chair, my questioning of whether the management was aware, it was deliberate town clerk. When auditors arrive at your place, they write to you and you receive them. And when they are exiting, they are coming up with a report that tell you, they are able to tell you which areas of concern. This particular area is not a simple thing. I've read out throughout the report, and you note I'll be coming step by step. Did you take this audit serious? In the sense that the purported chairperson or the said chairperson indicated that he's not aware about this youth group. And when the auditors were exiting your area, your district, you were satisfied with what they told you, that this is what they found. But then after they left and the report was done, that's when you bring this evidence. Do you take audits serious? because I feel this question is a loaded one. If you take them serious, you could have resolved these matters before they came, because you have brought this evidence. Why didn't you show the auditors at the time they were at your place and when they were exiting? Or you delegated to the junior most officers that you did not mind, as long as you come here, we shall go and show them that this is what happened. This is a matter you could have dropped if you were serious with the audit process. Chairperson, I need a serious answer.
Honorable Simumba.
Chair, for the record, we need to know who is telling the truth. Is it the auditors? They are stating to this committee that a physical inspection was done, which means they met this ward development chairperson, and the very chairperson reviewed to them that these group members could not be verified. And also, I would want to find out, where did they trace these forms from after the auditors left? Those are some of the follow-ups, Chair, that I would want to find out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Town Clerk, those concerns.
Thank you, Chair. With regard to the concern from Honorable Nyambose on whether we take the audits seriously, Chair, I wish to confirm to this committee that we do take the audits very seriously. From our undertaking in terms of the engagement with the Auditor General's office, the meeting that we undertake in terms of the entry meeting with the auditors is attended by senior management. At no time are junior officers the ones who attend to engaging the Auditor General's office. So to give some comfort to Honorable Nyambose as well as the committee, the audit engagement or the entire process is undertaken by the most senior members of staff, even the exit meeting chair. And we do take the audit seriously. In the case of this particular group, Shimukokotansono, the forms had been misplaced or misfiled. And during the course of the audit as well as after the audit, we were able to trace them, and I believe these were submitted to the Auditor General's office at different stages. However, they held the view that the queries still stood, because at the time when they were engaging us, the forms were not in place. So that concern for them still stood. However, the forms are available in terms of even the actual form for Shimukokotansono is available for audit verification. And for us also as a management, we are taken aback by the committee chairperson, the Ward Development Committee chairperson, indicating that this group is unknown to them when the auditors visited them. Because, Chair, the form that we relied on, even to present to the CDF committee for approval, bears a signature of the WDC chairperson as well as the signature of the CDFC chairperson.
Town Clerk, you indicate that the forms or the form was submitted to them during and after. So what makes you feel that the auditors had personal issues with this particular group? Because if they were objective, you submitted to them during the audit, as you have said, during and after, you showed them of the existence of this group. And yet they insisted that they wanted this query to stand. What do you think was the motive of the auditors to insist when you had submitted evidence? Second one, do you undertake monitoring and evaluation? Before the auditors, you knew that there was the existence of this Mkukotansono youth group, and you were monitoring them, and the records were there. Why were the records missing if you were doing the monitoring and the records were there? And unless you tell me there's nothing that you do until the auditors come, why do you think auditors have issues on this particular one?
Chair, with regard to the why I believe Auditor General raised that concern, and rightly so, is during the audit as well as just right after the exit meeting, what was found was that the form was there, but only one NRC had been attached. So when we were trying to re-engage them thereafter, following the procedures that we engage with auditors, we were able to trace the rest of the NRCs and we submitted. As indicated, Chair, earlier, the concern of the auditors is at the time of engagement with ourselves, those forms were not fully presented to them. And for them, that was the concern they would have wanted to address with this query.
Just a follow-up, Town Clerk. The concerns of the members is that there was this 20,000 that was paid to a known group, and it became unknown to the auditors on two bases, on two fronts. One is that they could not see the documentation. The second one is that they went and physically checked in this area, and the chairperson indicated to them that he doesn't know these people. Now, before the auditors actually come to your institution, you're a seasoned principal officer. You know that they write to you, they give you enough time, and one of them is it was this, because they actually advanced, say, no, look at these are the areas of interest that the auditors are coming to look at. So from the time you started dispersing these funds, you gave out this 20,000. I believe it wasn't a long time in between the auditors came. You should, at that time, should still have all the applications intact in one place. The possibility of you losing all the documents and then remaining with one NRC is what concerns the members of parliament, because of the period when these people applied and when you gave out the money, you paid based on the file that you had that had all the documents. So within the short time, it's not possible that we are going to lose everything and then remain with one NRC. And the auditors got concerned and went into the field, and the chairperson indicates, no, actually, we don't know this group or cooperative or youth group. So it became, it became a query, an audit query. So how do you lose documents within that shortest possible time? And then when the auditors leave, I've seen your responses, my town clerk, that I think maybe 3, 4 queries. Immediately the auditors go away, you found the documents. The auditors didn't find them. When they go away, you find the documents. It's also a bit strange that you have one response that even when you are given that period to put your house in order, you still have these documents, but immediately they go away, then you have these documents. And at some extent, and that's why maybe one of the honorable members come on to say, why are they not certified? Maybe afterwards, then you start just photocopying them and putting them in the file. I thought I should make that comment. But maybe before you come in, Town Clerk, Honorable Mutero.
Thank you, Chair. Just to say or to put it on record that the same auditors collapsed to one issue which they recorded and you resolved. When you are resolving the issue that your committee has been informed, the number one issue you should have come to start with when you were resolving. Why didn't you resolve even this one? Why would the auditors resolve this and you have the rightful documentation? Then they insisted to say this one stands. Why? Why would the same auditor be an angel here to you and the devil to you on the other hand? No wonder, Chair, your committee is saying no. No. where was Chinsari management when you collapsed the first query and you couldn't finish with what we are now insisting on?
Thank you very much, Town Clerk. Honorable members can move to other questions. Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. To begin with, I wish to indicate that we were present, we were there as a management when the auditors were making these observations. However, Chair, in one of my responses, I did indicate that the 2022 expanded CDF had brought overwhelming reactions from our applicants within the constituency, and this saw our units responsible for implementing the CDF somewhat overwhelmed, Chair. And by the time the auditors were visiting us, we had not put our house in order, admittedly, Chair. And following that observation, during the audit as well as post-audit, we undertook to ensure that we put our house in order. As indicated, Chair, we continued to engage the Office of the Auditor General, and even at the time when we presented the forms for this particular group, we were advised that for them, at the time of the audit, they did not have that interface with the particular form. And for them, the query was, at the time of the audit, we had not availed ourselves in the manner that we ought to. Chair, that is why the query was upheld. However, we continue to enjoy a very cordial relationship with the Office of the Auditor General, and they've been on hand to guide us. That is why, Chair, perhaps you saw that for query 1, they were able to give that position, because we continue to engage them, either through the audit, during the audit period or after the audit period. I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Shakafuswa and then Honorable Nyambosa.
Chair, I'm having difficulties to ask questions. If you look at page 8, page 7, 9, 10 on cross-cutting issues. The way the report is written, it wants us to assume what the cause of the query is. I would give an example on page 8, misapplication of funds.
Page 8.
Cause of the query, reduced amount from what was applied for by the groups compared to what was approved by the CDFC. For me, I would want to assume now that this misapplication was found because perhaps funds were put to some other use than what was applied for, and hence this question by the auditor. The story is not being told in this report of what happened and how the query arose, just like the other ones I've mentioned. I can give another example of page 9. You go to 121, unaccounted for grants. The cause of the query is inadequate sensitization to the groups in both procedure and basic financial interest. I don't think this can be the cause of the query for unaccounted for grants. So for me, I don't know how you're going to guide me, Chair. I would want to ask the appropriate questions based on the report given and not what I'm thinking in my head, having interacted with other witnesses before us. I thank you, Chair.
Honorable Shakafuso, just to guide on what on how you proceed. I think before you are seeing some inadequacies. So I would want you to interrogate those inadequacies, maybe misapplication, and so that we get a reaction from Chinsari Municipal Council. I'll ask Honorable Nyambosa now to ask his question. Okay. All right then. Please pick up one.
With that guidance, Chair, I want to know what led to the misapplication of 1.1 million.
What page again, sir?
Page 8.
Page 8.
1.132,000 kwacha. 1,132,200 kwacha.
Our town clerk, what was the cause of that?
Thank you, Chair. By way of response, I wish to indicate that from our observation, what was the cause of the query was that when we interrogated or visited these groups, and they gave reasons or they gave feedback on why the money was used for a different reason than what they indicated in their application forms. Chair, they indicated that in an instance where they apply, say for instance, for a 40,000 kwacha, maybe to buy something or to input it into a project, the committee would approve a lesser amount. And because of that, they were of the view, Chair, that they couldn't do what they initially said they would do, and without seeking further guidance or indeed without seeking authority, they would apply the money for other reasons. Chair, with regard to that, our action taken was that we went back in to ensure that we undertook further sensitization to our groups to advise them to say when and if they are met with particular circumstances, they needed to seek authority from the Secretariat ourselves, who would submit the same to the CDFC for approval of the change, or indeed on that inadequacy they would have faced, Chair. The cause of the query arose from the fact that these groups, whilst applying for one thing, utilize the money for different things, Chair.
Town clerk, what is you are there arising from your responses? You've got the monitoring unit. After I've given out the monies, there is a group that follows. And I'm glad that your government has given you actually a monitoring vehicle. And you have the 5% administrative component where you draw fuel. How is your monitoring system? Because for these people, at least you would have said, no, we want to go, and according to our record from the document that we have as a monitoring team, these people are going to do chicken rearing, so you would be actually looking for a chicken run. And when you find something else, then at that time you would have intervened and say, no, you cannot go on this, you have to take this thing back to the CDF committee to resolve and to put the record straight that instead of this, this is what we're going to do, with the reasons that the money that you have is inadequate. So how is your monitoring system?
Thank you, Chair. We have in place a CDF work plan, which is, I think, disaggregated into quarters. We have a planned monitoring and evaluation plan that is ideally undertaken every quarter. However, Chair, we also undertake ad hoc visitations depending on information that will be prevailing at the time. I must admit, Chair, that we had a challenge with sticking to the CDF work plan initially because we had transport challenges. Our CDF vehicle was only released to our constituency in the last quarter of 2023. So meaning that we were relying on our very lean fleet to undertake CDF activities as well as operations, Chair. However, even with that difficulty, we do undertake the routine monitoring and evaluation, and reports are prepared, Chair. And that is why you have seen as an action taken. We also undertook further sensitization because we believed there was an information gap between what was required of our groups and what is also required by law, Chair. I submit.
Yes, Honorable Shagafuso and then Honorable Nyambose.
So, Town Clerk, I'll put it to you that by law, the Financial Management Act number 1 of 2018, it states, among others, that where recipients of government funds apply the funds to some other project rather than what they had applied for, the money is supposed to be recovered by your institution. And in this case, you went to sensitize them. Are you aware of the provisions of the Financial Management Act? And if so, why haven't you instituted recoveries? Because this money was misapplied for the intended use. I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much. Town Clerk?
Thank you, Chair. I wish to confirm to the committee that myself as well as my colleagues are very much aware of what the Public Finance Management Act calls for. And in this particular instance, Chair, I wish to put it candidly that we did not move in to recover immediately because of some of the concerns that we encountered when we sensitized or indeed interacted with these, our residents or cooperatives. Chair, we have, I believe, 2 active police cases that we are expecting that we would be given some feedback. We have cases where amongst the 58, Chair, a chairperson of a group has run away with the money. In that instance, we advised that the groups decide to go and lodge a complaint with police. Similarly, Chair, where we were seeing that there was this misapplication, we continued to engage these are our residents. With regard to proceeding with invoking the Public Finance Management Act, Chair, yes, as a management, we have not done that. But we believe, Chair, that these are our residents, and this is a work in progress. Given an opportunity, Chair, the auditors can come through to verify what further action we would take, Chair, following what we have set in motion.
So what do we take as a committee before the auditors come? Are we going to take that you have started engaging them, or the practical steps that you have put in place? Just to comfort this committee that you are not just seated, you are doing something about it. Director of Finance?
Yes, Chair, I think it can be put on record that we've started already engagements so that we see the extent to which the misapplication was done. And then we also want to educate them, because I think from what the town clerk mentioned, we underrated the understanding of our community members on the application of the same grants. And so what we want now is to go full throttle and try to help them, one, see how they can manage their records. Because what we found was, as the auditors also observed, that there were a variance, even failing to show how the money was spent. Not even a record showing a budget as to how the money was actually spent. So that is one item, Chair, we've taken with keen interest to make sure that we educate them on even a basic way of understanding on how to come up with a budget and record, because for auditors, once that record is not there, then it means money has not been put to good use. That is one thing. And then on the issue of recovery, like I said, we want to go further, engage them, get the extent to which the misapplication was done, and see how best we can institute recoveries according to what the Public Finance Act says, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Nyombose?
Chair, I've been quite challenged, I want to say. First and foremost, Chair, this is a very serious committee. I want to emphasize this. I'll start from where Honorable Shakafuso has indicated, page 8. The way the report has been done, Chair, I aired this, I've read this report. This is the first report I've made since I was appointed to this committee that is in bullet form. And the certain points, explanations are less than 8 words. And we have to interrogate the town clerk to give us a story, a verbal story, instead of us reading a report and understand it before we come to this committee. Chair, such a standard should not be encouraged. And it's the Minister of Local Government. Before you bring these reports to us here, we shouldn't be assuming. Me, if I was given an opportunity, I was going to throw this report back to come up with a serious report. I shouldn't be assuming then they are giving us a verbal story. We are busy listening instead of interrogating them from what we have read. Then I'll proceed, Chair. On page 4, Chair, these are just concerns. Learners not residents of a constituency. contrary to the guidelines, the council irregularly paid boarding fees in amounts totaling 39,000 for 13 learners at Kenneth Kaunda and Chinsari Girls Secondary School who were not residents in Chinsari constituency. These are the auditors telling us, Chair. I'm just reading. This is what they found. The action taken by management to that query, management has since confirmed that the applicants were duly signed, the applications were duly signed by WDCs, indicating that learners were residents of the constituency. At which point, that's my question, I will refer, Chair, as I'm interrogating this report, I want you to refer to where I asked, are they serious with audit process or management? The auditors find this, then later on, they say, we have duly signed. Second, Chair, double sponsorship. On page 5, during the period under review, a grade 12 learner at Chinsari Girls Secondary School was paid an amount of 3,000 kwacha to cater for boarding fees. However, the learner was also under Camfed sponsorship at the same time, resulting in a double payment. The action taken, management has since recovered the money to. Were they doing the monitoring? Do they follow up? When I hear the management team or the town clerk, she's lamenting that had no capacity. They had no capacity. The question, Chair, number 2 question. At which point did they realize they don't have capacity to handle the enhanced CDF as a municipality? And do we have any evidence that they wrote to the Ministry of Local Government or to the Local Government Service Commission indicating that here as a town clerk, I don't have management to handle this? Can you hold on? Last one, Chair. Payment of sponsorship for children whose parents and guardians are in formal employment. Auditors highlighted it. Action taken. Management has since reoriented WDCs and other stakeholders on CDF guidelines. That is the answer they can give. Now, is this not only happening to Chinsari Council? That at the first point, WDCs were oriented, they knew that the guidelines do not allow them to sponsor children whose parents are what? So, Chair, I don't see any seriousness. First, auditors come, they highlight, and the responses that are coming do not lead to me to show that this management is serious. Because, Chair, we are dealing with public resources. These resources are supposed to be accounted for properly for the benefit of the people of Chinsari. But here's the management. We are the lean management. So I want to see a report, town clerk, to show me that you wrote to the Local Government Service Commission when you realized that you didn't have qualified or adequate staff, and the commission has now responded, and that you only did not orient your WDCs at that time. It had to take the auditors to come and highlight all these queries, and the response is the same. We have since done this. To me, it shows lack of seriousness to audit process. Thank you.
Attorney Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. I wish to give a general statement to give some comfort to Honorable Nyambose as well as the committee that the management at Chinsali Municipal Council does give the relevant importance to the audit process and the CDF implementation process in general, Chair. I wish to indicate, Chair, something that I've already alluded to, that the CDF was increased from 1.6 to 25.7. Following that, guidelines were issued. Chair, admittedly, we have continued to interact with those guidelines, and some of what has come out is that the ministry responsible for local government and rural development has been issuing circulars from time to time. At the time of implementation of the first group of learners, what we were relying on, Chair, was the forms that were being submitted by the various WDCs. What was lacking at the time, Chair, was the need for ourselves to go and verify these students and learners. what had been happening, Chair, is that we were paying or we were processing these skills, bursaries, skills for boarding, bursaries for boarding, as well as bursaries for skills on the forms that were being presented. That is where, Chair, you will note that when we look at the form with regard to learners not resident in the constituency, you will find that we were relying on the fact that the WDC themselves are the ones that are informing us to say this is a member or a resident of the constituency or indeed of that ward. What the auditors had done was that when they visited us and they noted whatever responses we gave, they went forward to actually go and visit these schools. That is where this information with regard to this parent or guardian not being in formal employment was retrieved or was unearthed. Secondly, even the issue of the double sponsorship came out when the auditors did a physical verification. Chair, the matter did not end there. We as a council received guidance from the ministry to say there was need for us, prior to payment for bursaries, whether for skills or boarding schools, to undertake what was being done or what was being called as a verification. So for future payments following the audit, we have been undertaking these verifications, and this is where we are also sifting out all these concerns that were initially observed by the auditors. Chair.
I want to pass it. Until the auditors came, there is no verification that your council has been undertaking. Or in short, you don't director planning. You have director planning, socio-economic planners, and other people. You tell me that there was no verification, or when you are doing your monitoring, or do you do your monitoring, since the enhanced CDF came, you never went round to see the people you are paying for and how you are paying. For you to be paying for people who are not residents of Chinsari, for you to be paying to a pupil who is already on a what, you just receive the forms and you are seated in the council without your team going round to verify. It had to take the auditors. And when the auditors now came, that's when you said no, because they have said this was wrong, we are correcting it. Do you have staff, or did you have staff then, competent and knowing what they're supposed to do to help you to deal with these issues? Chairperson, I'm really concerned about this Chinsari Council.
Yes, Honorable Kamondo, then Honorable Shakafuswa, followed by Honorable Simumba.
Yeah, Honorable Chairperson, it is understood that the omission was done, and then I want to take you to page 6, where we are talking about payments of sponsorship for children whose parents actually and guardians were in formal employment. Indeed, having realized that this was an omission, we shouldn't have done it. And your remedial measures, you are saying the council will endeavor to adequately sensitize the ward development committees, as well as give technical advice to the CDFC as to regards to the provision of the CDF guidelines, which is okay. However, I wanted just to find out, this money, I'm made to understand that it was spent. What measures have you put in place to make sure that you recover these monies? Thank you.
Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. I wish to comment on one last issue that was raised by Honorable Nyambose with regard to the staffing levels at our institution and whether we've engaged the Local Government Service Commission. Chair, it may be of interest to you that the concern with regard to staffing levels is not just at Chinsali Municipal Council, but that it spreads across all the councils nationwide. And as a result of that, there have been engagements by the Local Government Service Commission and the relevant unit at Cabinet Office to see how the structures for town councils as well as municipal councils and cities can be adjusted so as to ensure that the staffing levels are managed or adjusted. and we have been given assurances that this matter is receiving active attention. However, even as that matter is receiving active attention, Chair, we have been in constant engagement with the Local Government Service Commission. We are required to routinely file in what is called a vacancy status report and give our priorities. And Chair, this is done, I think, quarterly. But even outside that, Chair, we undertake engagements with the Commission, and they do undertake to fill these positions as and when we raise these concerns. It may also interest you, Chair, to note that we were asked as local authorities to submit vacancy status reports as at December. And currently an advert is running where some of these key positions are likely to be filled in the next 2 or 3 months, Chair, after the recruitment process is undertaken. With regard to the concern that came from Honorable Kamondo on the query on guardians or parents that are in formal employment, Chair, I must admit that we have not instituted the recoveries in this regard, in the sense that when this query or this observation was made by the Auditor General's office, and indeed we did an introspection as a management, we noted that the definition of a vulnerable person and what was approved by the CDFC do not tally, Chair. And we caused a report to the CDF committee with our recommendations as management to say, as a start, that sponsorship should be discontinued, and secondly, that those monies should be recovered. Chair, I regret to inform you that our CDF committee rejected those recommendations and upheld the sponsorships. Now, because the CDF committee is superintended over by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, particularly the minister responsible for that ministry, we did undertake to write to the ministry to advise, to say, there's been this observation. We have advised the committee. The committee has upheld. We were seeking guidance from our ministry. Chair, we are yet to be guided in that regard. And once we receive that guidance, management shall undertake to follow what we shall be guided. Chair, I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Simomba, then my Vice. Oh, I see. Sorry.
Chair, thank you very much. There is a submission that you have submitted that you spent about 39,000 to these learners. That is on page 4. Who are at Kenneth Kaunda and Chinsali Girls Secondary School. I wanted to find out from your own findings, are these learners residents of Chinsali or not? If they are not residents of Chinsali, what have you done about the money that you have spent? Have you started recovering this 39,000 or not? I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Shakafoso.
Chairman, I'm a bit worried with the submissions that we are getting from Chinsali, especially where management introspects and they make their own decision, overlooking, number one, the law, the guidelines from the ministry. From the submission, they are saying that the CDF committee upheld the matter. Who is supposed to check that the guidelines are adhered to the latter? Is it the CDF committee or you, the secretariat? And where you find that the CDF committee is in error, aren't you supposed to rectify the problem there and then? Do you still need further guidance from the ministry when the guidelines are clear? Secondly, I want to find out on verification and sensitization on groups that get these bursaries or grants. Aren't you supposed to do the sensitization before you give them these funds? Why are you doing the sensitization after they are given the funds? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair, wanted to say something?
Thank you, Chair. For me, I think it's just an observation from the report given by Chinsali Municipal Council. I feel that most of their issues is because of the issues of the ward development committees. The submissions, obviously looking at the guidelines of CDF, your ward development committees. For me, I feel, Chair, that the council needs to do more on capacity building in terms of guidelines, or otherwise they'll mess you up. We know for a fact that where these ward development committees are stationed are councillors, and councillors are part of the council. So you need to engage your councillors. Obviously, when there are submissions of who should be part of the bursary, who should be part of the empowerment, your councillors should also be part and parcel. Because if they're going to get people from other villages who are not part of Chinsali or other towns, obviously it's because maybe they feel there are not enough people in that area. I don't know for what reasons, be it as it may be. But for me, for you to really sort from your report, for me, I think the issue is with your WDCs. Because they're the ones that submit these names, they're the ones that submit these projects for the CDF committee to do the approval. But then also, as you also strengthen those people that you are also part of the council. So as you strengthen your team as CDF, obviously the member of parliament chooses the committee. You need to seriously engage your member of parliament. Also in terms of how these projects and these names are being picked. Or otherwise you find year in, year out, even next year we'll meet you under these same issues. You need to seriously go and sensitize your ward development committees on the guidelines, who should partake and who should not partake, which contractor should be contracted or not. Otherwise, for me, Chair, I think everything is following, it's got a root. Every problem has a beginning, and for me, I feel the beginning is the Ward Development Committee. And you as a local authority, you have the honors. You have to sensitize your Ward Development Committees on what the guidelines are stating. Obviously, looking at Chinsali, most of it is very rural. So for them, when they see the money, if you as a council do not do enough in actually sensitizing them, you are going to be in trouble with the auditors when they come. So for me, it was an observation looking at this report. It's going down to the root, your ward development committees. And obviously, being a busy council, looking at the councillors that are also part of the CTF committee, they are afraid. They just get what the WDCs are getting. So I think beyond political boundaries, we need to do a lot of sensitization. The member of parliament should take the lead because he's in charge of the CDF committee, and so are the councillors, because there is no way. Where is the councillors? Where are the councillors when they're getting people that are not supposed to be part of the bursary? So this is boiling down to leadership and say, strengthen your systems, and all these problems will not be there. For me, this is my observation, Chair.
Thank you very much. Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. I wish to react particularly to the Honorable Vice Chair's timely guidance by just thanking her for those observations, but also, Chair, maybe to give a bit of comfort to the committee. When it comes to capacity building, Chair, as indicated by Director Finance in a submission earlier today, we as a management noted this information gap, and we have undertaken some steps. And one of the steps, Chair, is that we are currently privileged as a district to receive support from USAID under a project called Local Impact Governance Project. Chair, through this project, all 17 WDCs have since been capacity built, and this is not a once-off activity, Chair. This continues to be undertaken depending on what has been observed as we continue to interact with the WDCs. However, even as we go back to our district, I think the guidance that we have received through this committee shall form part of what we will continue to undertake as we continue to have the task of implementing the CDF. On the other concerns coming in from Honorable Shakafuswa, with your permission, Chair, perhaps Director Planning can give some responses.
Director Planning.
Thank you very much, Chair. Indeed, it's true. It's the duty of the local authority through the officers that sit under the CDF committee to give technical advice to the CDFC committee. But I think you may all agree with me that sometimes the advice given to the CDF committee is not taken at times. So that's why, if you have seen in the minutes, I think we did advise the committee, but instead they decided to uphold the decision. So if you check the minutes, I think you may find that resolution there. Then with regard to sensitization, of course the sensitization should be done before we do disbursements or before applications are done for the various CDF components. But just like my town clerk indicated, the 2022 CDF was a learning curve. And if you may recall, the guidelines were only launched in 2022. And I think throughout the year, in fact, most of us, the technical officers, and I believe even some honorable members of parliament were also digesting these guidelines. So I think with that taken, I think we'll intensify, like we have indicated, on the sensitizations. Thank you.
Honorable Mutero.
There is one question that she hasn't.
She will tackle together with this one.
Thank you so much, Chair. Just, I'm humbled. I've gone to the minutes, Appendix 6, and I've seen, therefore, after deliberations and on a proposal, then it was resolved, or it was. From there are no other pages. So how do we know the resolution? Maybe it's just my report, which has no pages. Just my report, eh? Maybe it's just my report, because my report is page 5, then there must be page 6. The only page, the next page I'm seeing is page 33. So how do we believe the resolutions to say, yes, the committee rejected the advice? Just taking it from you. I followed. Town clerk. Then we go to the double sponsorship. Appendix 4. Surprisingly enough, you write to, is it Chisari girls, on 4th January 2024, because you knew now you were coming. Chair, surprisingly, the same 4th January, Chisari was able to pay back the 3,000 kwacha. What time did you write? Was it 8? And quickly they rushed it to the bank. And then you put it to the chair to say, no, all these are resolved. And when was the query? And why couldn't you have done it much earlier? Within one day. Chair, just to those few observations.
Town clerk.
Thank you, Chair. I wish to apologize. I ought to have indicated at the presentation of my memorandum that in photocopying and preparing the booklet, there's a page 6 that was not attached. However, Chair, I have come with the said page 6. With your indulgence, I could circulate it to the members just for them to look at the particular extract of the minutes. Secondly, Chair, with regard to the observation by Honorable Mutelo on the date of the payment or the repayment for the double sponsorship, the 3,000 kwacha. Chair, admittedly, and if I'm being very candid, prior to this letter of 4th January 2024, what we had been undertaking with the Chinsali girls was reconciliation of their records as well as ours, and this was being done more or less on a verbal position. However, we did undertake to put it in writing, and they were ready even almost immediately to refund that money, Chair. I submit.
Yes,
thank you very much for your engagement in the background. That's how it ought to be when people live in the same community. But no wonder we are surprised. On the page 6, you said you should have rendered an apology. And you've just continued like that. Are you apologizing to your committee or not? And now how are we going to really know to say what you have brought is the real resolution of the committee? How are we going to accept that, Chair? They send this report, the resolution is not there. The management decides to come with the resolution, they keep it in the bag. We ask them, no, it's here.
She has apologized.
Authentically, how would we really accept it to say it's true, it's coming from the committee, not what has just been generated by herself and her team? Is there anyone, Chair, from the committee who would now accept to say this is what we resolve?
Honorable Member, what we accept, what we do is here is documentary evidence. So without that member, if they give us that this is the resolution that we have, we always base our belief on what is submitted, just like we are looking at all these documents. So if they are saying they didn't attach it, but they came with it, it's evident enough, and that one should be given to the auditors, and the auditors will make a verification on it. Honorable members, we are running out of time. Even you, Honorable Simumba.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, and then...
Thank you, Chair. Chair, we are dealing with public resources. And pardon me for being serious, because I undertake that councils have capacity.
No,
Chair.
can you withdraw? Can you withdraw that, because everyone
I
is
withdraw,
serious.
Chair.
Everyone is serious, and the
Chair,
Parliament
as a
above
committee,
all. Parliament above all is serious. And
Chair, this committee is a serious committee. I didn't mean I. We are a serious committee, Chair. We are a serious committee, and we're trying to safeguard public resources, Chair. Page 9. Chair, unaccounted for grants amounting to 790,940 kwacha. This is what the auditors picked.
Page 9.
Page 9 of the report.
Yes.
Chair, the response or remedial measure, the council will endeavor to sensitize the beneficiaries on the importance of procedure. Chair, my earlier question was, throughout this report or the presentation or the response, I asked a very important question. I want to be informed that at which point did they indicate to the government that don't have capacity, or maybe lack of staff, qualified staff, to undertake these? Because the moment monies are not accounted for, these are public resources and they're supposed to benefit the people. If you look at the remedial measure there, they will sensitize. After the audit, town clerk, I will come back to the area question. How do you explain the capacity of your council in managing resources such as the CDF? And as members of parliament, we have labored to defend the councils. People have insinuated that councils do not have the capacity. Now, if you're failing until the auditors, external auditors come, then you say that's when you sensitize. Did you write to the commission that you don't have the right staff to undertake the sensitization before? Do you do monitoring? Did you realize that at a certain point there was lacking of certain issues? Until now, that's when you want to undertake this sensitization. Town clerk, do you have the right personnel and any evidence that you wrote to the commission, or we invite them to give you the capacity so that these resources are safeguarded? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Kamondo, and then Honorable Simon, maybe you could repeat your question. Honorable Kamondo.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I think I thought this matter is equally important. I just wanted to find out on page 10, failure to report on the secondary school boarding and skills development. We have actually an amount which is pending here, about 97,000 kwacha. I wanted to find out from Chinsari Town Council whether, just to explain how the funds which were paid to students and institutions, how they were paid, and whether you have recovered the money or not, or maybe what measures are you putting in place in order to avoid such occurrences? Thank you.
Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. I will start with Honorable Kamondo's inquiry on the failure to report an amount of 97,055 kwacha. Chair, with regard to this one, the observation by the auditors is that despite students or learners being approved by the CDFC committee as well as by the ministry, these learners did not report to the learning institutions, and an amount of 97,000 was an issue as a result of that. And the cause of the query, Chair, is that at that time, a number of these successful applicants opted to undertake the census activity instead of going into accessing the learning, accessing the bursary in terms of learning. And with regard to the ration allowances, Chair, this matter was eventually managed or eventually undertaken by the Ministry of Local Government by issuance of a circular. Chair, in this regard, this 97,000 was not spent, but the concern from the auditors was that despite these learners or students being so approved, them not accessing the bursary as approved, Chair. That is why this query arose. With regard to the concern from Honorable Nyambose on capacity, Chair, I wish to indicate that the capacity of the available staff is there. The only gap we continue to battle with is that we don't have the requisite numbers. And I think earlier, Chair, I did allude to the fact that this is a matter that is receiving active attention, both by Cabinet Office as well as the Local Government Service Commission, in that the structures for the town, municipal, and city councils is being adjusted. Whilst that is being done, Chair, in the background, we are also mandated quarterly and even on an ad hoc basis to engage the Service Commission in what we call submission of vacancy status reports. I wish also to give further comfort to Honorable Nyambose that as at the last quarter of 2023, I think particularly in December, we had been asked by the Local Government Service Commission to highlight which are those key positions that continue to be vacant and that can have a high impact on our implementation of the CDF. And an advert is currently running. I believe the deadline should be about next week or thereabout. And we expect that these officers will be in our councils and at Chinsali Council before the end of the quarter, Chair. And I believe that would take away some of the burden that we have. However, I did also manage to indicate that whereas there's some key staff is missing in relevant units, we have also undertaken local arrangements where officers not necessarily falling under engineering, planning, or procurement, or indeed finance, who are given specific roles that aid the implementation of the CDF process, Chair. I submit.
Honorable Simumba, your question was what?
Thank you, Chair. It was on page 4, where the 39,000 was spent to the learners who are not the residents of the constituency. And the question which begs an answer is, in your own finding, are these residents of Chinsadi or not? If they are not, have you find a way of recovering the funds from those learners that are not residents of Chinsadi? I submit, Chair.
Town Clerk?
Thank you, Chair. At the time of receipt of the forms, we relied on the indication by the WDC leadership that these are learners or students that are falling within their wards and consequently under the constituency. However, further engagement during the time of the audit revealed that with the in-depth interaction with the auditors, it came out that some of these are resident either within the district or, in the case of boarding, they used to be resident in the constituency and then left. However, Chair, we had placed reliance on the submission from the WDC leadership to say these are their residents within the ward, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chinsari. Thank you for the time to interact with us. Chinsari Municipal Council, the committee is not satisfied with your submissions. Starting with your last comment, Town Clerk, that your reliance has always been on the WDCs. But if I asked you where your reliance has been in terms of these unregistered institutions that you are paying, it wouldn't be the WDCs. So what is coming out very clear from your submission, Town Clerk, is the fact that starting with the 20,000, the cooperative, the students that were not residents of your district, going on to the students that you paid for as well, that could not go to school. What is lacking, what is the gap that is between there is the fact that you don't do due diligence before you act or before you do something. I can qualify that by the payment to non-registered. You are supposed to. And where is the auditor? Internal auditor. When these payments were done to non-registered institutions, what was your comment?
Thank you, Chair. When we were making the payments, we relied on the receipts they got from Teveta. They had renewed their license.
You see, I saw you submitting somewhere as a municipal council that no, we saw the invoice of their renewal. You are not supposed to do that. That is beyond you. You're not supposed to come in when they renew and when they don't. When you are making payments, when you are making a decision, you must have a valid document. Whether it's in the process they are getting a license, it's immaterial. It's immaterial. You pay on the thing that you have. For instance, if they paid and then they send you a receipt saying you can pay us, and you effected the payment on that receipt, not on the license, isn't it?
You are right, Chair.
So we don't do that because the guidelines is that this institution has a valid license, has valid documents. Then based on that, we attach our payments. But you moved on. In the past, in the olden days, we used to have the what do we used to call those ones under Kaunda, what? Coupons, eh? No, the coupon something. Eh? We used to have those coupons, you know, but we can't rely on that. That's what I mean. So what we are saying is, you have, Madam Town Clerk, your due diligence has not been done, even in the wards. You must have tangible evidence that yes, these people are from there. Of course, there are councillors that you feel when they do, because you have councillors as ex-officials that sit there. To some extent, you would believe that. But when you, now the auditors come and they even go like on the cooperative, they even go on physically to go and check on this. We have the council chairperson say, I don't know these people. They come to you, they say, no, we actually signed. We don't know whether they are signing after the auditors or they signed before. They say, no, we can do this. It's quite confusing for us to follow as people that will receive a submission from you. So in every step, you must do due diligence on every matter. And we want you to improve on your filing systems. We cannot have a cooperative that submits today, 3 months later you can't find the documents, they are scattered all over. And then the auditors come. So let's put our house in order, and please, we make sure that whatever we do is done, you know, in accordance with the provisions of the law. I was reading for others before you came, the group that came before you, Kafue Town Council, but I can as well give it to you that under the public, you are alluded to the fact that all your officers are acquainted with this document, with this act, the Public Finance Management Act 1 of 2018. But if you look at section 49, 50, and 51, it would find you wanting. Those 3 sections would find you wanting, because you don't do due diligence. With that said, I would love now to withdraw the immunity that was conferred on you at the beginning of our interaction, and we hope you do the best you can, because we are meeting later in the year. We'll meet again, and we want to make sure that we have the best out of Chinsali Municipal Council. We wish you well as you travel back to Chinsali. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
You are free to leave.
Parliament TV, bringing Parliament closer to you.